We are live. Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Scott, I'm usually the biggest, and here we are. I want to show you a little bit of guitar stuff. I have a system, and people ask me, how do you play? How do I play what I play? And I'm going to move that one more inch. The long answer is I have a system that I think of, that I kind of invented decades ago, of just seeing the rows of notes across the guitar. And so if I play a scale, I can get that to sound. And here, these, how do I know where the notes are? Well, if you play the piano, you see white notes and black notes all right in front of you. It's very visual. Where is that on here? If we could imagine that scale, and the major scale that we typically play in music, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that is a mixture of whole steps and half steps. I'm going to start with this first note in the corner right here, and it happens to be F, but we don't care, because we could, the end result is we can move this anywhere, this pattern. But a scale goes like this. From this note, every fret on the guitar, do I have to describe frets? Every bump on here is a fret. And 2 frets, each one is a half step, 2 frets is a whole step. So the first note, do to re, mi, those are whole steps. Then there's a half step, only 1 fret, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So it is 2 whole steps, then there's a half step, then there's a whole step, another whole step, another whole step. So it's 2 whole steps and a half, 3 whole steps and a half. Say it backwards, half step, 3 whole steps, half step, 2 whole steps. So I'm going to write that on this little chart right here. I'm going to write this note, here, 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 half step now. Whole step, whole step, whole step, and another half step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we call it in the scale, or do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, back to do again. This note is really not this note, but they sound so much the same. This is twice as many vibrations as that to get physics about it, and they sound so much the same that we call them the same name. So there are different octaves that we can play the scale, but it'll be the same notes. In this case, we are playing an F scale, and I don't even want to complicate things by saying this is F, G, A, there's a B flat in here. I could have used the C major scale, you're right, I could have, but starting with the first note right there in the corner, this is the shape of a major scale. Wherever I would start, if I would start here, I could go whole step, and it'll make a major scale. So we could put, the way you play the guitar, you put your 4 fingers on, usually on 3 notes. In this case, I could stretch out and play 3 notes like that, or I could just play 2 notes. Now I would shift up, and now I can play 3 and 4 and 5. I can play those under my hand right there. This finger doesn't, it is just for spacing in between, and then like that. Here I'm stretching between those, or could do 2. All kinds of different ways to put your fingers on the notes. But the notes are the 1st fret, 3rd, 5th, 1, 3, 5, odd numbers. Then we have a half step, so now it's even numbers, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 13. These numbers, will forget them right after we do this, but remember them right now. 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. say it backwards. 13, 12, 10, 8, 6, 5, 3, 1. That's the notes that will play an F scale. If we had lots of time now, we had several people, we might all improvise together. Just hit a note, 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, I'll hit a 5. And somebody else might hit 8, and somebody else might hit this. If we had those two notes together, we'd get a dissonance, but it could move off from there. So we could improvise together, just knowing 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 11. Oh yeah, almost interrupted myself. Went too far. Let's go now to the second string. This is the first fret here. F. That same note comes on the second string, on the 6th fret here. The guitar is tuned mostly in fourths. So you play, I got a marker in my hand. You play 3 notes and you go on to the next string. Then there's one place, just to mess us up, there's one place where it's tuned, the 2 strings are only a third apart. So you only get to play 2 notes on that string. But if you can see, I'm playing 3 notes, and then 3 notes, and 3 notes. Now only 2 notes on this one, and so that'd be one way to do it. So take my word for it. This note and this note are the same note. And then we go up whole step, half step, whole step. That would, and let's stop there. And backwards from here, what was it? It was a half step, do, ti, la, sol, half step, whole step, whole step. A little messier here than usual. So let's just stand back and look at that. Look, they're straight across from each other. All of these are straight across, except one, where that 4 to 7 was, it's called the tritone, 3 whole steps. That one ended up diagonal. All the rest of them are straight across from each other. So these notes are all notes of the scale. And then, I have to use 2 fingers here. And then those are all notes of the scale. So is if I play 1 here and 3 here, and then 3 and 5, and 5 and not 7 to 6. Like that. So I can play thirds, I can turn it around and play fifths. There's that diagonal. All the rest of them are 2 frets apart. So I could do all kinds of other things. You could even reach a 6th. A 6th. I'm talking about intervals between notes. 1, there's no 0 in music, so 1 is a unison. A step apart, 1 step apart is called a second. And then 2 steps apart is called a third. So don't think too much about that. That's just the language we use. And that's a 4th. Straight across. On so many strings, straight across. All right, here's another thing we might know if you've got a guitar and you tune this string to E string and you tune this one to E string. Oh, they're going to be the same notes. 1, 3, 5, 6, 8. Let me not make any mistakes here. 10, 12. What did I just do? I just wrote the wrong thing. Oh my goodness. We'll edit that out. It's here, and it's not here. And it's, oh boy. Should we do this all over again? No, you just have to take me with a grain of salt. It's here and here. What I was trying to say is, it's 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 11 on the second string. Now we know half of the guitar is 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12. You could improvise together. Somebody could play on the 6th string. Somebody could play, we'll call it a chord over here. Somebody else might play notes on. So when I do this as a group workshop, I often make people play around with that for some time. But I'm going to go quickly today through this, and if you want to see some more, I'm going to be putting up a series. I should have said this earlier. I'm going to put up a series of guitar lessons. And by the way, I have a book. It is this book published by Hal Leonard. Very boring title, All Scales in All Positions. I wish we had called it Visualizing the Guitar Fretboard or something like that. Muriel Anderson, a wonderful guitarist, and I collaborated on the book. She'd already written All Chords in All Positions, so that's why it's called that. And now, if we were going to do the next string, well, it'll be 7 on the 5th string, it'll be 2 on the 4th string. That's too much to remember. We need a different system. I'm going to just write in the whole thing. Now, sometimes when I do a workshop for even a college class of guitarists or a bunch of high school rockers, I will say, okay, can everybody draw a picture? If you know something about guitar, draw this. Put all the notes of the scale in. And people will be puzzling around, and maybe you know the first row, and maybe you know the open position notes, and then there's this vast uncharted territory through here that you don't know what is that. And so I'm doing it a little bit slowly and carefully right now, but I'll add even another row down here. Here's the whole thing. How did I know that? Because I have a trick, that's why. We're going to call this, with do on either end of a bunch of notes right here, we're going to call this the first row. I made this up. You won't find it in other books. Or if you do, they copied my idea. We call it the first row because it has the first note of the scale on either end of a crooked row. It goes down 2 notes over, down a fret, or up a fret, and 2 more notes, back 2 notes. I'm going to call it 2, 2, 2. That's the name of this row. Just being silly. That's the name. If that will draw up to you in your mind a picture of 2 down a fret, 2 down a fret, up, back again. So it moves a fret and it moves back again. They're never more than 2 frets. But then the next one, the second row, is 6 straight across. I'm going to call it straight, ST. Then there's a fret with no notes in this particular scale. Between the second and third rows, there is an empty fret. Third row, straight, again. This isn't so bad. The next one, 4th row, this is where I made a blunder here, but 1, and then it goes down, and there's 3, and back, and 2. So 1, 3, 2. 5th row is 3, and 1, and 2. Chicago, if you ever call Chicago. And then the 6th row is straight again. So there's 3 straight rows out of 7. There's only 4 crooked rows that we need to know. The 7th row is weird. It has 4, and then you got to go back to get this note and there. Have anything to do with the 7 chord being diminished? That's only for the music theory majors out there. So it's 4, and I use a little flat or a B, back 1 and 1. And then we're back to 2, 2, 2 again. Okay, I figured I'd make a mess on that. So I did this. Here it is, nicely written out. Oh my gosh! Now we've switched to. Wait a minute! I better go back here and describe this. Let's start here. Why do we want to know this? Because any 3 rows gives you a scale fingering. Because you play 3 notes and you move on to the next string. So I'll play like this. I had to reach there, but now this finger comes up, and now I'm here. So see I'm playing the third string, and now I'm playing the second string. It's the same note. So there's one note in here that has to be left out every time, because you're only going to play two notes on either the third or the second string. And all the scales work this way. Three notes, and I'll do it there. If I would start here, straight, empty, straight, and 1, 3, 2, I'm going to put my fingers here. This finger I know is going to play all the notes. This finger is going to do nothing. This finger is going to play all the notes. And this finger is going to reach out and play a couple notes. Well, I'm still playing the right thing. And then only two notes. Some people might even play the scale this way, dividing between here, because you don't do anything on that fret. The next one is straight, and then these two different ones, and then where I've made a mess over here. And this is a good place to start because there's no extensions that you have to reach out here if you're going to start playing. You won't need that note because it's the same note as that note. And okay, now let me go back over here. So we could do the rest of the scales, but let me go back over here. Now I've transposed this. I took this whole thing and I just moved it down because this is the same scale all the time for every key. Same pattern. You know all keys if you know this. 2, 2, 2 is right there. First row. It's up on the 8th fret. This is the key of C, C major. The white notes of the piano. All the third row is open strings. Fourth row is the 1, 3, 2, and then the fifth row, 3, 1, 2. I'm going to just jump over here. Here's just that. And this is where you'd start if you start beginning guitar. Here is Do, C. And then I play open, 2, 3, open, 2, open, 1. There's Do again, C. So often when you start playing the guitar, you start with this right here. This little 6 notes, right? You can play all kinds of melodies there. Oops, I need a third string. This was the third row, the fourth row, and the fifth row. Do I think that all the time when I'm playing? No, I don't really. I've got these patterns and I don't have to do it that way. If we were playing the E major scale, you know, something. Now I've got this I can play. Same on 2 strings, and then sometimes this is a nice place to start because you can learn, you know, things like that, guitar licks. Enough of that. So any 3 rows gives you a scale fingering. I'm going to start down here. Whoops. I have to play a wrong note every once in a while. Now, then. I am here now, right? And then that was the 7th row, the 1st row, and then there was the 1st, 2nd, 3rd row. I know I'm going through that fast, just to get the idea out there. But any 3 rows gives you a scale fingering. Then there are a lot of kind of interesting licks that happen just between 2 rows. Like if you're playing on that. That was the 2 straight rows. It just sounds nice, interesting. Whoops. Something like that. It's just taking two rows. I didn't mean to get esoteric there, but all these notes are the notes of the scale. So you can find all kinds of patterns in here. This is the map. If you could memorize this map, and how am I going to memorize that map? It's so complicated. No, it's really not. Remember that, look for those straight rows. Here in the key of C, all the open strings are a straight row. The 5th fret is all a straight row. There's 2 crooked ones in here, 1, 3, 2, and 3, 1, 2. They sound kind of the same and they're easy to confuse sometimes, but once you start messing with it, and put your fingers on those. Sometimes in a workshop, I have 4 people, I have 4 guys, 4 women, men, stand over masking tape strings and frets on the floor, and each finger will step on. Okay, now I know the 2nd finger, 1st finger went here, so on like that. So as I play this scale, the 2nd finger has nothing to do for this scale, like that. So as I rehearse a scale, like I'll start here. So 3rd finger does nothing, it's just space. And then there, and then 2nd finger does nothing, space there. Same fingering twice, that happens a lot. And then 3, 1, 3. Here was a little pattern of two fingerings together. Happens so much of the time. All right, I'm going to jump to one more idea. When I show a class of high school rockers this, they don't want to know anymore. Because this is rock lead guitar. I got a slightly messier thing here, but I'm going to use this. I'm just going to write it in and I'll explain. Open strings. A straight row. Then 1, back 3, 2, 3 across, and back 1 and 2. Where am I? And then 4 and 1 and 1. And then I jump up, I'll explain why. 2, back 2 and 2. And then, where are we? And then straight is across here. Straight, that is an octave away from this, same straight. So we had here, I'm going to call this the 6th row. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. There is no 4 in this scale, I'll explain. And then 5 and 6. This is called the Pentatonic Scale, 5-note scale. And it's rock lead guitar. It's a whole lot of folk songs and it's a whole lot of everything, even Asian music. Anything like that. easiest thing, and this is what you learn when you learn first thing about rock and roll guitar or something. This pentatonic scale. Open and 3, and then 3, open. I'll go backwards. 2, open, 2. That. If you want to play the blues, there's that. But then the next one up, oh yeah, only 2 rows and you get the scale fingering. It just works out. So this one, oh, well, I slide up to do that. I could have done it this way. And then this one's interesting. It's almost, people do this all with 1 or 2 fingers sometimes. But I reach back. And then this one. Some people do this one all with just 2 fingers too. 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, reach. So B.B. King, Eric Clapton, they use 2 or 3 of these. I don't know if they even use all 5 of those, but now you know all 5. It is straight, 1, back, 3, 2, 3, back. This is the way I do it. 3 back, 1, 2. I made up these names. It's just a help. Then 4, 1, 1. In the major scale, it was 4 and back, 4 back, 1 and 1. Here, 4, 1, 1. That's part of this row. And then 2 back, 2, 2. B. I can't reach over there with holding onto the guitar. 2 back, 2, 2. And then straight is down here again, and it'll keep going from straight. So in this case, there's a whole step, then there's a step and a half, and then a whole step, and then there's a step and a half again, step and a half there. This is called the pentatonic scale. I'm not going to bother to write it, but that's what I say when I show I'll show kids this. That's what I wanted to know. There it is. There's rock lead guitar right there, and bend the string. Got to make the right facial expression. But if you know all of these, you'll be better informed than a lot of guitar players. So there's an overview of the whole system, and I'm going to just hold this up again. You can buy this book from Hal Leonard Publishing, or you can buy it directly from me too. And my website is Jim Scott Music. My name and music.com. Jim Scott Music. And what do I want to say about that? Yeah, I want to say this, that it's still going to be the same name, but I think tomorrow or the next day, and if you're watching this video a day or sometime after, we have a brand new website coming. So it'll all be new wiring. It'll look beautiful. You can listen to all my songs there. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos of how I play my songs, how to organize this scale thing, how I think of scales and chords, and so on. And I'm building a Patreon page that, if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a subscription thing that we subscribe to it, and then you'll get all the content there, and you subscribe for what you can afford and some different levels and so on. So do check that out, and that'll be obvious when you go to my page. I play concerts every Wednesday night on Facebook and YouTube, where you're seeing this now, and at 8 o'clock Eastern time I do a concert with a theme. So I hope you'll come and visit me there. Friend me on Facebook. Please subscribe on YouTube. If I get a few more people subscribing on YouTube, I will get paid for the ads that they put there. Thank you for all of that, and I hope this was a help. If you've never played the guitar before, you might just try putting your fingers on there. You put your finger right behind the fret. You could get away with putting it further away, but you want to put your finger right behind the fret, and you don't have to push down hard. I don't have to hold my hand behind the guitar, you know, just, it takes it takes so little pressure to hold that down. Maybe I hold it a little tighter if I really slam it at the other end. And you might notice I'm playing a nylon string guitar, a classical guitar, and I play with my fingers most of the time. So I obsess about these fingernails being right to play. And I walk with my fingers, if you can see what's going on here. Or the thumb. Something like that. When I'm playing chords, the thumb plays the bass notes, and the fingers are assigned to the upper strings. That's the way I play the guitar. You'll notice I don't play with my thumb around the other side. Some people who are pretty good guitar players do that. I don't. I play with the classical position, which is my thumb is right in the back, and I think I can reach all these things this way. I got long fingers, so I can reach some long distances, but you'll find they're not as hard as you think to do this. And in my further lessons, I'll explain there's some different schools of thought to how you would put your fingers on the notes. I'll give you one example. Here, and here's Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. One way to do it is to extend, have this extended reach like this. But Aaron Shearer, a wonderful guitar teacher who I studied with, says, here's another way, easier, or very slick, or whatever. You come up here, and he calls it a squeeze shift. You squeeze in, then reach those notes back there. So you don't extend the way a lot of electric guitar players do these days. You don't find it as much on classical guitar players. We don't extend a reach unless we have to. I find that I do it a lot. One last thing. Two last things. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the bass notes that I might play. And I have to show you my messy one, because no, I'll do it here. Here's C. I'm up on C. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those notes. I could play. I'm playing 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. I've got the bass notes right under my hand, and or here 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm thinking of, well, there was a row with a straight, I had a straight something right there. And then I had the crooked row. Whoops. Okay, my head. So I don't name them in my head all the time. I'm not thinking numbers all the time. But I just know there was a straight row, there was a crooked row, and as you'll find, if you take maybe the first 3 strings right here, you get little chords. Or I'll take these 3, and then whoops, I'm playing the wrong key again. And then where am I? I wanted to play in the key of C. Erase that part. 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, I'm trying to say is there are chords. Do you follow exactly a row? No, you take a row and then maybe another note somewhere. But I'm thinking all the time, the steps of the scale are right over here, and the melody is over here, and the chords in between, and that's how I work this out. So as I was saying, there's going to be 7 ways to finger the scale, starting on 4, and starting on 5, and starting on 6, and starting on 7. So 7 has Do right there with the second finger. This is a good beginning scale to start with too, because you don't have to extend. So, and then it turns out there's different fingerings. You either extend one way, or extend with the little finger, or you extend between here, and you end up with 12 different ways to play the scale. Why would you want to do that? I mean, isn't about 5 good enough? Well, if I were here, and I'm playing something that has chord changes changing all around, I might play, so here's A flat, here's A, here's B flat, here's B, C, D flat, D, D flat, or E flat, E, F, like that, F sharp, G. Have I gone all the way? No. And then G sharp one. I'm back to A flat again. So I was all in the 4th position, and I played in every key. Put that away until later. But do come back. Thank you so much for listening. It's fun to just run through this all. And I ran through a bunch of it fast and disorganized. But just to give you an overview of where this is all going to go. And I really hope you'll stop and visit my guitar lessons as they get going. What a lot of people ask me is, how do you play that song, my song? And I'm going to try to put some of that. You can find jazz standards and rock lead guitar from other people, but what I would want to share with you is perhaps more relevant to me, how to play these things on how I play a song like this. And may your life be as a song. This is F minor, G7, augmented, C minor, F7, F minor, G7, C, and then I'll walk up there and F minor again, G7, C minor, I'll decorate it, and then F minor, but this is sort of A flat over there, it's F minor sound, and this is the G chord again, to the C minor over the 7th, and A minor 755, which actually is sort of like F7. So it goes on and on like that. That song, with only the chorus of the song is 4 chords, F minor. You could do it. You could do it with just those 4 chords. But then I play all these inversions, and I entertain myself by moving all around the guitar. So I hope to show you more of that stuff. Thank you for listening. I see some people, it's a little far away from me to see who's on there that noticed that I was doing this afternoon. Thanks very much. My book, All Scales in All Positions, one more commercial, and brand new website coming in a day or two. We're going to have a half-price sale, so to drive you to the website. And then my Patreon page, and concerts every Wednesday. Thank you, love you all. I'm going to do another free guitar workshop in a few days. We'll announce. Be well and have a wonderful day.